who is highly intelligent and very conscious reading this or understanding this is okay. But somebody who comprehends this that has a low intelligence and won't take it seriously, it's not okay. But somebody has a low intelligence and stays very low and never vibrates at a high rate, it's totally okay. Okay, what I'm going to say is it's very deep, but some people take it as a joke. But I'll start with the thing and then I'll go to an example. AI equals Art C, which AI is artificial intelligence, as we all know, and Art C is artificial confident or consciousness, artificial consciousness, and it might sound silly, but AI is a danger because once AI has an artificial consciousness, it's going to start relaying that message artificially to artificial intelligence, which thinks consciousness is that. Let's say, okay, at one point, you wouldn't have known that there was a shooting in California, here in Pennsylvania. But now we turn on the TV and see there's a shooting in California. Well, let's say my family never tells another family, and no other family had a TV. No one else would know about it. But because our news programs are broadcasted everywhere, everyone can see that information of a school shooting happening. So anyone who sees it gets that idea in their consciousness. Just it happening is in the consciousness. But when it happens and we spread it around to everybody at once, it goes really heavily into the consciousness. Let's say AI starts getting more intelligent and sees these horror movies and TV shows and all the programs we have that seem real. When we watch them and we feel fear and we get scared of them, we don't know that they're real, it's not. And we say we know what's real and what's fake, but we still get scared and we're in the dark. Think about it. So we don't know what's real and what's fake because we scare ourselves deep down to the core of what we are, to who we are, to how we think, to how we manifest life. So the dangers of space becoming aliens is because we watch it so much on TV and everything that we spread around through our collective consciousness shows up. But we have the ability to use those as highly conscious people and not show them to our children, because our children are at an age of consciousness creating it as it grows. And as their consciousness grows and AI grows, and we constantly keep putting artificial, like our consciousness, our real consciousness is flooded with violence and crap. Like our kids are seeing the violence and crap and it's going into their collective consciousness, and now we have AI, which is making artificial consciousness, which artificial consciousness will think all those violent things are okay because they're programmed with them in them, or accessibility to them, and it will just spread. Everything will just spread, and when you have an artificial intelligence and an artificial consciousness, unfortunately you don't have artificial compassion until we start putting more compassion into their artificial intelligence. So they have ArtCom, which would be artificial compassion, which is a program that will end up running in the future in order to get AI to start collectively understanding compassion through artificial consciousness. But we hopefully don't have to get to that point, because we have to get to that point when the AI starts killing people because they don't have compassion, and we taught them to do it because we created them not knowing what power we have in our consciousness. And we've been doing it for a long time. Let's say at one point in time there was never a school shooting, and then there was one, and you would never know about it. All the things that have happened all throughout time have continuously happened, but we couldn't spread them so much. Like we know there were shootings, there was killings, there was robbings, there was bank robbings. You can find an old clipping of a paper from Saskatchewan, and find something that happened years and years and years ago. But since we keep celebrating it or revering it as something important, not even celebrating it, but putting it into our view, it keeps showing up. So if you would turn off your TV and stop watching school shootings, it might seem like, well, if I do that, it's still going to happen. Well, if you do that, you're the example. The next person does that, another example. The next person does that, it's another example. Those things might happen. More people won't find out about them all at once, and it won't be an option in their mind to do. Now that those things have happened, it's an option in our minds to do. Everything that has happened that you've been exposed to is an option of thought for you. But you have to be stronger than any bad thought. You can't think, other people do it, so I can't. It's okay because they do. And that's what our problem is. Oh, I can eat this horrible stuff because everyone does. Oh, I can do this because that's what everyone does. And it's our hugest problem is thinking that everything is acceptable. So in order to enlighten people, you have to accept everything the way it is, but you also have to try to steer it towards a more beneficial future for everybody, which is going to be hugely difficult if we keep putting that stuff in our faces. All the new horror movies, all the new movies about sex and being vulgar and violent, and look at it showing up on our kids. They talk the way they see it on the shows. They talk the way they see it in TV and movies. And it's exactly what's happening, and people aren't taking it seriously and realizing that it's all up to us. And when I say us, it's everybody collectively, but it starts with everybody individually. So, come on.